here we are. I'm going to keep this quick. And well, I have spoken at colleges before, and I think your logo may be getting covered a little bit with a black, grey box, but that's because I have only one screen. I have done lots of talks at lots of colleges. They keep calling me back, and I love coming back and just chatting with the students. So I would like to place as much emphasis as possible in the question answer round, and I'm sure you guys have lots of questions. So we'll keep it light, we'll keep it fun. I have worked with many brands, and definitely I was a creative consultant before, and now, more so as a corporate coach, helping them sort of streamline practices for better mental health, etc. So these are just some logos, also because I like to put logos on the screen, and it makes me feel good about my life as well. I'm like, "Arey baap re, itne sare logo." I'm finally an old man. Today I went to the salon to cut my hair. He was saying, सर आपके दाढ़ी में तो सफ़ेद बाल है. I'm like, साले 35 का हूँ, सफ़ेद बाल नहीं होंगे तो क्या ऑरेंज कलर के बाल होंगे? So getting there, all right. I was where you were not too long ago, but here I am on the other side giving lectures to students. I have been writing as well as a guest author, but I also get called sometimes for quotes. Just recently, Hindustan Times called me for a quote on productivity. So if you have any questions on that, I'll be happy to segue into that as well. So that's me showing off a little bit. But let's face it, yeah. We've all been here. We've all been in school, worn strange clothes, worn chappals, as you can see in the extreme right photo. I had this thing. I had lots of chappals. I've thrown them away, thankfully. Whatever you do, a free tip: don't wear chappals in life if you want to be taken seriously. All right, get some nice shoes and walk around with shoes. I actually grew up in boarding school, guys, so this is way before even the internet existed. I don't know if most of y'all are not old enough to remember that time period. But there was a time where there was no internet, and you just had to trust what your teachers said, and you just had to trust what your parents said, what society said, what your community leaders said, what religion said, and what Amitabh Bachchan said in movies. You have to just trust it. So it was a very weird time. For you to know how long I was in boarding school, look at me in both these pictures. It's with the same lady, but you can see I've grown a little taller than her in the second picture. That's me in my 10th standard. And the obsession with chappals didn't go away. I was in Xavier's College. And this is before I could grow a decent mooch. Not for lack of trying though. I did try. So since I couldn't focus much on the facial hair, I kind of wore this hairband. As you can see, first day of college versus literally last day of college. These pictures are 5 years apart from each other. I was in Xavier's. Okay. And in Xavier's, I met a lot of people from a lot of different communities. And it's like we live in this world where we are usually surrounded by people we know, people from our communities. When you go to a big college like Xavier's, you realize you're not the center of the universe, and frankly, no one gives a damn what you're wearing, who you are, who your daddy is. Everyone's just come to college to hang out with each other, attend a few lectures, and have the cheese palak dosa in the canteen. All right. So I did my MBA, and that was during the global recession. I actually had hair like this when I was doing my MBA. Very messy, very untidy, I know. But I hadn't found a good barber yet. And I couldn't find a job because of the global recession. So I was willing to do anything. So one of my friends said there's a job in Malaysia working as part of this reality show called Is Jungle Se Mujhe Bachao, which is kind of like the love child of, you could say, Big Boss and Survivor. You have to do these stunts. There are snakes, there are spiders, and all kinds of weird stuff. As you can see, मैं खुद पागल हो गया हूँ थोड़ा सा. In the top left photo, I was starved, खाना नहीं मिलता था, and this mela suddenly happened once, and I went and ate a lot of food. Because we used to work in shifts, 17 hours in the middle of a jungle, sweating all the time, snakes everywhere. So that was my life after getting an MBA. Laundry ka kaam milta tha. So it was not the most glamorous of jobs after having an MBA, and I did quite well. I was on the dean's roll, etc. of scholastic achievement. But ये जाके मैं देखो कब्र में लेट रहा हूँ पहले से ही. That was actually a stunt where you have to lie down in a coffin and you have to have snakes on you in complete darkness. So the boys used to be made bakras. कि जाओ भाई घुस जाओ. Before the actual contestants lie down, we want to make sure the stunt has no problems. तो मेरे को बकरा बनाते थे because I'm not scared of all these things. The only thing I'm genuinely afraid of in this world is vegetable biryani. All right. So let's jump right in. I was given a brief by you guys to answer 5 questions. So 5 questions I will answer. And if you have more questions for me, we're going to jump into those in the question answer round. So the first question was how to handle stress of an MBA course. Second is mounting pressure from various sources. Third is productivity secrets and how to make the best of it. The fourth one was dealing with FOMO, committees, groups, college life, internships, etc., etc. And the fifth is mindfulness and its benefits in an MBA course. So I've tried my best to, in a really succinct manner, compress what should actually be a very long talk, but I'm going to keep it very short. So we're going to go question after question. But before I answer the questions, I'd like to emphasize one fact. I personally believe, as someone who's also worked in the creative industries, all human beings thrive under certain structures. What is a structure? A structure is a deadline. A structure is, okay, these are your assignments, these are your credit points, this is how you will be graded, this is what will decide how well you've performed. That's a structure. It's created by just another person like you and me. Alright, someone decided it was a good idea to have a viva and a written submission and a written paper and a practical, field-based, assessment. Someone thought it was a good idea, nice holistic way to sort of understand how the students are growing, etc. But having said that, we also find ourselves getting crushed by these structures, isn't it? Now, when I used to work in the corporate world, sometimes a lot of deadlines were based on the egos of people or on the impatience of people in other departments. And I'd wonder, why has this deadline been moved up? Oh, it's because someone else wants to look good to someone else, and therefore I'm screwed and I need to now do a double shift. So as much as we benefit from structures, because otherwise we'll be all over the place, we can also get crushed by them. And in my opinion, an MBA is one such structure. It's a structure that can ultimately liberate you, but it can also crush you and also drive you insane. And I've seen both things happen when I was doing my MBA. So what do we do? Know this about an MBA. An MBA, and this is from someone who has one, it's simply one of the many visas for opportunity. Why do you go for an MBA course? It's because you want the opportunity to succeed, to get that great placement, to be noticed in the playing field. But it's just one of the many visas. You'd be surprised, and I don't need to tell you this, you can Google it. A lot of famous people don't have an MBA. They just were extremely good at their people skills, they were good at what they did, they were inventive, and they had thick skin. They didn't give a damn what other people thought about them. Don't forget that ultimately any college, not just your college, is a business. And a business works on one simple premise: return on investment. And in this case, you are the investment. So it's fair to assume that great people don't come out of a place like Harvard or Princeton. Princeton and Harvard hire the so-called academically great people so that they can continue to tell people we have only the best students. By hiring the best students, you churn out the best students, but they were already good and smart and knew how to crack the examination system. So their being at Harvard didn't make them brilliant. They were already brilliant, and maybe they came from places like Meerut and Indore. But now that they have the Harvard jersey, you can say, oh, this is our class of 2020. So your college is a business. They have zero stake in your success and how well you do. They want to look good, as any business wants to. So don't over rely on your college to build your careers. What's been given between the years, that's what will keep you afloat in the job market, which is demanding. Another thing, your brilliance has nothing to do with your teachers. So I used to have this one teacher during my MBA days. She absolutely hated me. As you can tell by now, I don't give conventional lectures, all right? I can't do this be positive, the power is within you kind of stuff. I just can't. And I was that way as a student as well, but with a bad hairstyle. So my teachers didn't like me, didn't like my chappals. And then when I went and succeeded out there, they'd go and tell everyone, oh, Aman Bhonsle was our student. But I'm like, मेरे को तो class में बहुत गाली देते थे. मेरे साथ तो मतलब full arguments होते थे. Why? Because I was badly groomed and because I was outspoken. So your brilliance, I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but allegedly some people think I am, has nothing to do with your teachers. Oh my God, please don't let the academics of this world decide where you reach. You're smart and resourceful without their acknowledgement, or even with their acknowledgement, but the fact is you don't need it. You will reach where you are destined to reach if you slog and if you play your cards right, and it has nothing to do with the marks your teachers give you, okay? Your network and your ethic will define your ascend to the top. If you have a good network, you have a good ethic, you get shit done. You're not one of those people, who just says, Arey, I will do this, I will do that. You're not one of those, what we used to call committee whores, that you're just part of so many different committees, but when it comes to actually getting grades and nailing the assignments, you don't add up, all right? If you stay updated with what's happening in the industry of your choice, follow the news, follow the trends, learn the tech, learn the software, understand the zeitgeist, know the right people, you will learn to find solutions to problems. And that's ultimately what everyone is looking for. A man or a woman who finds solutions to problems, or even better, a man or a woman who makes them rich or makes them look good. Alright? Question 1. How do we handle the stress of an MBA course? Firstly, you need to all remember one very important thing. Jai Maradya. You need to remember this. You are not special. No one is special. I'm not special either. We're all unique. But we're not special. So don't expect special treatment, okay? If everyone is stressed out because the assignment is oppressively hard, know that you're not special and you will also succumb to that stress to some degree. Life is full of stress. It's not about the avoidance of stress, it's about how do we deal with it. Alright? It's not easy. All good things in life are not easy. You won the pool villa, you won the BMW, it's gonna take work, alright? It's important to have a system that works for you. You know, there is no universal system of success. For example, I noticed I study better during the days. I don't study well at night. Even when I was doing my MBA, so I would sort of keep myself aloof during the day to do my studies, and at night I would walk around and gloat while everyone else would start their studies at night. So रात का अपना हिसाब है ही नहीं. The night is for tea and for Maggie. I used to walk around with this steaming plate of Maggie and shove it in everyone's faces and say, क्या वो assignment कर रहा है? मैं 2 दिन पहले हो गया, मालूम है क्या? Of course, that was a little bit douchey of me, but hey, I was young and I was, trying to have some fun. All right? If you ask for help and you collaborate well with others, it's a great sign of being a team player. So your committees, etc., are great in that it's a great training ground for you to understand how well you play with a team, because you will have to learn to play with a team, whether you're a part of a team or you're leading a team. So this is a good way to sort of, kickstart that journey. The system that you use to study and nail assignments has to be personal to you. The time of the day, how many hours you give. I used to love to finish my assignments at least a month before they were due. I loved it. So I would be in the library when everyone else was in the canteen. And I'd finish it because I knew I can do it. I would never leave things at the last minute. I still don't. It's just a habit of mine. I don't know where I got it from, but that's who I am. So find the system that works for you. Secondly, you won't be a master of all trades and subjects, and that's okay. There are some subjects that you will be slightly better at than others. I know in the academic system there is this pressure to be good at everything, but trust me, in the real world, there is no such pressure. You get one department, you get one job, you don't have to be good at everything. So if you're not a numbers person, maybe you're better at strategy. If you're not good at strategy, maybe you're better with people. If you're not good with people, maybe you're more of a tech specialist. Even in a shitty movie like Fast and Furious 9, which I had the unfortunate luck of watching 2 days ago, please don't watch that movie. It's absolutely horrible. Alright? Everyone in Dom Toretto's team has a speciality. Takla gaadi chalata hai, he's indestructible. ओके बाकी लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? एक डेमोलिशंस एक्सपर्ट है, एक हैकर है, तो एक सिर्फ वन लाइनर्स देता है. तो एवरीवन हैज देयर स्पेशलिटीज एंड दैट्स हाउ रियल लाइफ प्लेज आउट. सो डोंट वरी इफ यू आर नॉट गुड एट ऑल योर सब्जेक्ट. इट्स नॉट एक्सपेक्टेड इन द रियल वर्ल्ड. ओके, do not underestimate the magic of pen and paper. I know you guys are very tech forward, so am I. But I like to have pen and paper around me. I always say that at any given point, there's a piece of paper around me. So if I want to quickly write things down, because this human mind can only remember so much. So don't let your brain overclock, as they say. Write things down, maintain to-do lists, and finish things off in an organized way. Slow down and speed up situationally and not randomly. Don't say, I'm always in a sped up mode. You'll burn out. And don't be one of those people who's constantly, sauntering and lazing through the course. There are times when you have to slow down for your own sanity, and there are times when you have to speed up. But it's never at random. It is never ever at random. So it's very important to keep that in mind. And if you keep these few rules in mind, surely there'll be stress. There's no way to escape the stress. It's just that you will handle it slightly better. The second question was handling expectations, placements, academic cells, and committees. Remember one thing, folks. You got to pick your battles. You can't win them all. You got to study your playing field. It's very important to understand what everyone else is doing before you figure out what you need to do. Because you can't deviate to a large degree, and even if you want to deviate, you need to first understand what the competition is doing. See, all of y'all are the same age, in the same class. But understand that in the future, fortunately or unfortunately, you guys are going to be each other's competition. So it's very important in the real world to know what your competition is doing, what their strengths are, so you can learn from their strengths, what their weaknesses are, so that you can fill those gaps in. So always pick your battles, alright? You can't win them all. Experience matters more than credit points. I know your grades and credit points and averages are very important to you, but in the real world, they are worth anda. No one gives a damn what your credit points are. People care only if you can make them rich, make them look good, and get shit done. Get the pieces moving. So your experience matters more. Those damn logos that I showed you are far more important to me than anything else, that my college printed on a piece of paper for me. There is a difference between the warm up and the game, and I want all of you all to remember that your MBA course is the warm up. The real game is when you get hired by a company, they pick you out, they pay you money, they want you to do something for them. So if you don't get into a certain college committee, I don't know what committees are there. In my time, they had Dandiya night planning committees and disciplinary committees and the red house, blue house. I said, bhai, there's only one house and that is House Targaryen. And unke saath kya hua, everyone knows in the last season of Game of Thrones, alright? Ye house kya khel rahe ho yaar? Bacche ho. No one cares. In the real world, if you play well at the game, how you did your warm up, whether you first did your skips and then you did your dips, or you didn't do dips and you directly did your squats, no one cares. People want results. They don't care how you did it, how stressed you were, what you had to sacrifice, who you had to suck up to. They don't care about that. So your process is private. Your results are public. If you're good at something and practice it enough, you're unstoppable. Anything. So you guys won't believe it. I used to shit bricks while public speaking because I thought there's a certain way of doing it. You see all these people, you see all these motivational speakers, and they all have this way and this. But then the more I saw the international guys, I said, wait a minute, this is how he probably speaks at home as well. So there's no skill that is non-learnable. So the more talks I did, the more I figured out my rhythm, I got better at it. I'm more comfortable at it. Better or not is for the audience to decide, but I got a lot more comfortable at it. All right? You won't be a favorite in all situations. You won't be your teachers or your bosses or your principal's favorite, and that's all right. Remember one thing, folks, not everyone on this planet has to love you. All right? It's good enough if mommy loves you, but apart from that, everything else is a bonus. You got to still stick to your goals and your dreams despite being hated, being misunderstood, and you'll see a lot of so-called great people have been hated and misunderstood when they try to do something different. Buddha, Jesus, Steve Jobs, Chaplin, Mandela, Galileo, all these guys, great guys, all right. But they were all hated. They weren't liked because they were different, they were weird, they defied things. So be very, very cognizant of that. Understand one thing, guys, the clock runs at different speeds for different people. So please don't compare yourself with someone else. Someone may get a placement way before you, but they may die 20 years before you. If you see the larger picture, someone may not get a placement for the first year and they may just waste time at home, but then when they get that placement, they fly and they overtake everyone else, like the bloody Roadrunner in the Roadrunner show. You just zoom past everyone. I've seen this happen with a lot of people. Placement nahi mila, depression mein gaye, but then when they got that chance, they were better than everyone else. Whether it's the house they live in or the money they make now, because I have the benefit of a decade gone by, between finishing my MBA and being in the work world. I used to live in Singapore and Malaysia for many years. I was there for 8 years. So I've also had the opportunity to work with white people, black people, and I've asked them these questions. Everyone runs at different speeds, all right? So don't get so gung-ho over your academics and committees. Focus on the big picture. Now, productivity. You want to learn how brilliant and organized people work. They use something known as the Pomodoro Technique. A lot of people I know use this. So they basically plan their breaks and their productivity, because a lot of people get distracted with WhatsApp. Let's face it, all right? Or with other things. So if you work for 25 minutes non-stop, then take a 20-minute break. Work again for 25 minutes non-stop. Again, take a 25-minute break. And you do this 4 times in 4 shifts. This is known as the Pomodoro Technique. Okay, there are apps to help you time yourself. Everyone's phone has an inbuilt timer. So use these apps to sort of get that concentrated 25 minutes. See, 25 plus 25 is 50. So you get 50 solid minutes of whatever you need to do, whether it's your project or your academics, all right? Another thing I highly recommend is break down your life into daily tasks. Don't make it too complicated. Don't plan 3 months ahead. Focus on the day. Focus on making the most of the day. I have this daily task list, and then once I'm done with it, I love tearing it up, and I keep these index cards on my desk. It's a little old school, but I like old school. Look at that. It's paper, and I just got one of these cheap business card holders from Amazon. So I like how it's always staring at me in the face, that this is what you have left. And I get it done. I just plan one day at a time, and then stuff gets done. It's very important to stay away from technology intermittently, all right? Don't play with your phones all the time. Keep your phones off, or put it on airplane mode or silent, or just keep it somewhere else where it won't be disturbed. Inform the relevant people who are likely to call you that you're not available to them. It's a perfectly normal practice, okay? Another thing, a lot of people, who are productive, right? They don't sit and have debates on WhatsApp. They don't sit and type long messages. So for example, because I have so many groups, I manage groups, I'm part of groups, building groups se leke, students are messaging me, clients are messaging me for therapy, I send voice notes. It's a lot quicker, it's a lot more elegant, it's a lot more personal, rather than typing it out. It also gives you the practice that you will need to become a better public speaker. Remember, जो बोलते हैं ना, जो बातों की खाते हैं ना, वो दुनिया चलाते हैं. Don't ever forget this. Those who are sweet talkers are great at getting things done. And even if they're not good at getting things done, they'll convince the entire room that they are the ones for the job. Are you understanding? Because they speak so well. You won't ace every situation, okay? So if you're trying to be productive and that day something came up, or you got into a complicated situation with some girl who's not giving you bhav, or some friend of yours has spread shit about you, some situations are beyond your control, and those are the days where you need to be really patient and really nice to yourself, all right? You don't have to be productive 24/7. I too have my productive spells, my productive days, and there are some days where I just put my feet up and watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine on Netflix, and that's all right. Okay, no one's keeping a scorecard of how well you do on a daily basis. Okay, it's all in here. Track your work, your progress, and your appointments on Google Calendar. I'm a big proponent of this app. For one, it's free. Secondly, when I moved back to India, I used to put everything on Google Calendar, whether it's spending family time or even meeting friends, and I run my life on Google Calendar. They thought I'm being snooty. I said, no, I'm not being snooty. I just want to free up all that real estate from my brain. I don't want my brain to try to remember what my appointments are when there's an app that is designed to do that for me. So whatever the hell I'm doing, even if I have to do my laundry, it's on Google Calendar. Even if I have to have lunch, it's on Google Calendar. I have these reminders, I have Alexa in all over my house to shout at me because I live alone. I don't want my brain to have the pressure to remember things. I want my brain to be freed up to actually do the stuff that's required, isn't it? FOMO. How do you address the fear of missing out? There's only one way of doing it, really. You got to manage your expectations. You can't be everywhere at the same time. You can't. You have to make choices. If you choose one path, you will never know how the other path would have turned out. That's just what it's about. All right. So don't get stuck in this whole opportunity cost fallacy that, if I take this route, then maybe this route was actually the better one, the safer one, the more pleasurable one. You'll never know, because now you're on this road. So you got to stick to it. You got to play it out. You're not doing an MBA for your parents or for society, because if you think they care for a limited amount of time. After you've done your MBA, they'll care about why you aren't getting married. After you are married, they'll care about why you aren't having kids. After you have kids, they'll care about why you're spending so much. After they worry about why you're spending so much, they'll have health problems as they grow older. After you take care of them, then they're like, oh, but you don't look happy taking care of me. But after all, I have been your father and your mother, and I've made you who you are. So your families aren't going to be happy with whatever you throw at them, because they'll always want a little more. It's human nature. Runs mostly on greed and fear. Remember this. All right. So it's very important to understand that you're not doing an MBA to impress anyone else, because no one cares whether you have an MBA or no. They care about the results you can deliver. All right. Be friendly with everyone. This is a very important thing. When you want to, fear of missing out comes from this fear that you're not getting something. Don't remember the other person also in front of you also has FOMO. They're trying to get some information out of you, or they're trying to perhaps learn something that will help them or make their life easier. So it's very important as you go through your MBA course to be friendly with everyone. सबके दोस्त बनो, but don't give out intimate secrets of your life. You know, as or a very simple thing that my teacher used to say कि बेटा थोड़ा कम बोला करिए अपने personal issues के बारे में, क्योंकि people will only weaponize that if you cross them, or worse, disagree with them. No one likes to be disagreed with, but the more they know about you, the more ways they have to hurt you with. So be very careful with who you call your friends. As I said, be friendly with everyone, but not everyone is your friend. Like I was friendly with everyone, but I would sit at different tables every time during my MBA because it was a residential program. I didn't sit with any one group. I'm like, I don't belong to anyone. I belong only to me. मैं किसी का टट्टू नहीं हूँ. So that was how I lived. I'm not saying that's the best way or the right way, but I like to be nimble and flexible. I can get in and get out with equal speed. That's very important. There's always more than one way to get an internship. So you may have this FOMO feeling, अरे यार इसको मिल गया यार, इसके तो grades भी इतने अच्छे नहीं है, पता नहीं यार how she got it or how he got it. But remember one thing, your college is a business. And every business, even Coca-Cola had some pesticide thing here. So even Maggie was banned for a short while in India, if you remember, several years ago. So people get very jealous, get very insecure, and start doubting their own capability because they didn't get an internship and their college had promised them one. There are many ways to get an internship. Firstly, those of y'all who don't have a LinkedIn profile, get one made before the day ends. You directly need to reach out. You got to make those cold calls or send those emails or those in-mails. Get a premium subscription to LinkedIn. Okay, no harm even stalking people on Instagram. Okay, what's the worst that'll happen? They'll think some stupid creepy kid is messaging me for a job and I want to ignore it. But when that stupid creepy kid becomes successful and does a flex and says you rejected me, who's laughing now? This has happened a lot with me, I used to reach out to people with no shame, chahiye job, and now they all want to be associated. And I'll associate based on my availability. Aisa nahi hai, no hard feelings here. Make your voice heard, guys. I always feel, all of y'all are on social media. Make your voice heard. If you have an opinion, if you're good at something, if you want to share something, make small IGTV videos, yaar. Start a YouTube channel, yaar. Make it and whatever you say, remember it should be very short. And be courteous, be kind to everyone. सबके साथ अच्छा बनाए रखो. It's very useful, because you never know where someone may come from and they may need your help, or you may help them, in a certain way, or they may help your careers. So the more visible you are, the better it is for your careers as well. Because ultimately, what is an MBA course but nothing but a conduit? It's a pipeline that takes you to supposedly a better future. Also remember, the other flip side of it is what people show online isn't what they're experiencing. Alright? Everything is filtered. I was just seeing this video earlier today of this institute in China which trains women to look like millionaires on their social media feeds so that they can hit on famous influencers and marry and trade up their social status. So if a millionaire spots an attractive woman who is posing as a millionaire, he might respond to her advances. Bonus point is if she is nice looking, and then he puts a ring on it and she says, haha, I actually have no money and I love you very much, what are we going to do about this? And he's like, alright, come on, I have enough for the both of us. So this is an elaborate scam that is running in China. There are schools to train women in this. Okay, I actually saw this video and I'm like, yaar, aaj mujhe mention zarur karna hai in my talk. So what people show on the internet, that they are successful, they're traveling, they're happy, they love their families, they are vegan and gluten free, and they love their dogs, and their dog looks nice as well and maybe a little bit like them. A lot that is shown isn't what is real. It's all fairy dust. So don't base your self-esteem based on what someone is advertising. It's a PR strategy. It's a rouse. Smoke and mirrors, folks. Remember that the world isn't going to change itself from you. Yeah, आखिरी point तो मेरा सबसे favorite point है. Why didn't I put it first? I don't know. वो formatting में अच्छा बैठ रहा था, इसलिए मैं नीचे डाल दिया उसको. The world isn't going to change itself for you because what you want is important only to you. The world will still be opportunistic, opinionated, unfair, sexist in some parts. Yes, it will continue to be this way. Ageist as well. Sometimes my students, they see me, they're like, hey, jawan aadmi hai yaar. What is he going to teach us about psychology? I'm like, yaar, thoda Amazon pe chahiye. 3 books likhe hain maine. Thoda bahut aata hai mujhe. Don't mind, huh? And then later they say, नहीं नहीं यार, इसको तो मालूम है, ऐसा नहीं है. It's just that his beard isn't sufficiently white. So today I was convinced that yes, it is getting a little whiter, and that will help. Okay, in the line of work I'm in, जितना आप बुढ़े लगते हो, उतना लोगों को लगता है आपको मालूम है. Maybe I'll grow one of those Sadhguru beards. All right. Now mindfulness. There are tons of videos on YouTube about mindfulness. So I call them secrets that are not even secrets. भाई मैं क्यों बात करूं माइंडफुलनेस पे? सदगुरु बात कर रहा है यार. ओशो इज देयर, जिदू कृष्णमूर्ति इज देयर, ऑल दीज गाइज आर देयर, एकार्ट टोल इज देयर, जॉर्डन पीटरसन इज देयर, ऑल द दादास ऑफ द इंडस्ट्री आर देयर. But these are some of my thoughts. So I thought, let me simplify what mindfulness is. Okay? So the art of mindfulness is the art of being an observer of your thoughts and not a participant of your thoughts. So what happens is we have thoughts. Suppose you don't like one of your parents. Suppose your dad's putting a lot of pressure on you and like, I hate my father. What a pain in the ass. You have a thought that I am inconvenienced by this man. You have an emotion. Shit, I hate him. And then your behavior will be either, you know, if your dad calls you, you'll be like, क्या है? बार-बार आप phone करते हो. So you see, the thought leads to the emotion, leads to the behavior. That's the chronology, typically in psychology. Now, what if you became an observer of that thought? What if you say, all right, it would seem that there is a man who happens to be my biological father who is an impediment to my life. Sure, he is a bit of a pain, but I don't need to feel bad for not liking him, because I have a right to not like things when they are obstacles in my path. That's called being an observer of the thought. Otherwise, you become, I hate my father. Oh, I'm a shitty son. Oh, I'm so guilty. What kind of ehsan faramosh hu? I don't deserve the family name. You see, that's all emotional. So mindfulness is you zoom out. You're the sky looking at the clouds below. All right, these are the thoughts. There's hate, there's guilt, there's frustration, there's fatigue, there's anger, there's resentment, there's confusion, there's remorse, and maybe a little bit of, happiness as well. That I'm finally in touch with my emotions. There are all these thoughts. So without getting attached to any one of these, I'm just observing it. So I'm not a participant of the thoughts, I'm an observer. And that's mindfulness. That's why people say observe your breath, do vipassana, mindfulness, nam yoho renge kyo, Buddhist chanting. All kinds of methods, all have value. Whichever one works for you, do it. Remember one thing, folks, your body is your only true friend. So please treat it well. If you're going to put substances in it, gain weight, अभी तो आपको कुछ फील नहीं होगा. Wait till you're in your 30s and things like acidic reflux, insomnia, weight gain, thyroid, all these things will begin. And when they begin, that decade you spent earning all that money is going to be spent on doctor's bills. For what gain, you may wonder. 30s और 40s में आप नंगे हो जाओगे, पैसा खत्म हो जाएगा. डॉक्टर्स के बिल्स आप देखोगे. अभी कोविड जब हो रहा था, हॉस्पिटल बेड्स कितने में बिक रहे थे? 40-40, 50-50 हजार. You know how expensive it is to rent a home in Mumbai, especially if you want to be in one of the nice areas. Bandra में 75,000 rupees का रेट लगता है. For that too, for a very modest house. आपको पेंट हाउस चाहिए, 1.5 लाख तो सिर्फ रेंट पे जाएगा. फिर आपका वाईफाई, आपका 4G, हाँ, जोमेटो स्विगी तो अलग. कैसे किया जाए? स्टार्टिंग सैलरी मालूम है MBA के बाद कितने की होती है? अभी भी 30,000 का रेट चल रहा है, वो भी नहीं मिलता. So be very, very careful of how you treat your body, because your body is your best friend. It's the only thing that it will push itself for you when you need to get work done. क्योंकि हर चीज में पैसा लगता है, और पैसा कमाने के लिए भी शरीर लगता है, ये मत भूलिए. So this is a very important tip I like to give people. मेरे को किसी ने बोला, I used to eat a lot of junk, now I'm a little more careful. Junk has its place, but not every day. Get one of those subscription based meditation apps. Why do I say subscription based? थोड़ा invest करिए, थोड़ा पैसा डालिए. The way you would pay for a gym membership. I like this app called Calm, CALM, because they have these guided meditations. I'm not working for them, please. I'm just telling you what I use. It's a nice app. All kinds of celebrities are doing their voiceover, and it also is really nice. You can do like a 10-minute guided meditation. आधे लोग तो सो जाते हैं meditation करते हुए. That's also okay. उसके लिए भी provisions है. Especially if you have trouble falling asleep in time, it's a very good app. So, and when you pay for something, you tend to take it a little more seriously. That's what I feel. It's very important, guys. One of the most important things is you should be effective at what you do. So focus on being effective rather than being likable. I might be all happy and jolly, la la la, during this talk, but some of my counselees, some of my clients are terrified of me because I say things as they are. I said, my job is not to be likable to you. If I wanted to be likable, I'd be a massage therapist, not a psychotherapist. Everyone likes a nice shoulder massage. Sir, jo tera chakra hai. Are you understanding? I'm here to be effective and call your shit out, which your father and girlfriend don't have the balls to do. So, it's very important to be effective, not just as a student and part of the academic system. It's important to be effective with yourself as a human being as well. As I said, take care of your body, take care of your mind. Mind who you call your friends as well. Your circle will define the scales that you push yourself towards. It's very important. Like I said, friendly सबके साथ. But friend कौन है? 3 लोग. दिल चाहता है में 3 थे, शोले में 2 थे. So it's very important to go for a quality over quantity approach. And maybe you may think I'm talking nonsense, but wait till you're 31 and you will remember this talk saying, how the hell did this crazy guy know? How did he know? Thoda buddha hu. Credit though. Even I wanted to go to all the parties, all the nightclubs, kahan nahi gaya hu. But when you grow older, you realize that a lot of people are there in your life to just come home and finish up all the beer. They don't really give a damn if you fall ill. They'll say HBD to you on WhatsApp. But will they show up at 12 with cake? Maybe not. So it's very, very important to understand. Be effective rather than being likable. It's what's required in the professional world. It's certainly what's required when you're a student doing his MBA. Make time to feel grateful for 3 things on a daily basis. Now, those who know me, none of you all know me, but people know that I'm not a big believer in religion, etc. But the only thing I do believe in is gratitude. Really, I mean, if things are going well for you, spend some time of the day saying, yaar, ye to acha chal raha hai, ye to mera mamla set ho gaya. So let me have some gratitude. It also helps change your disposition. It makes you feel a lot happier. Because if you're having a stressful day, or you're surrounded by grumpy people, or suddenly there are too many assignments to handle, what are you going to do in that situation? You can't say, I'm not going to do my work, because then that has consequences. But you can be grateful. You can say, yeah, at least I have the opportunity to get an MBA. I'm in a good college. Yeah, at least I have other people who are suffering the way I do. So it's not just me in this situation alone. Yeah, at least I am going to have a degree that I can flaunt for the rest of my days. No one cares about my credit points. MBA here, that's it. It's good enough. It's a visa. It's one of the many visas, not the only one. As I said, and maybe I'm repeating myself, your vibe will define your tribe. The kind of people you invite in your life all comes from your vibe. So be easygoing, be open-minded, be communicative, be honest. Don't be one of those trolls, one of those people who's constantly on WhatsApp saying, how could you say this? There are people different from you who don't agree with you, who have had a different type of childhood. And maybe their mums didn't love them as much as your mum loved you. It's okay. Be kind. Thoda suno, thoda bolo bhi. Isn't it? So the vibe that you give out will bring in the right kind of people. And you can dismiss people as well. Like in any job or in any company, when someone is, not performing, or they say non-performing asset, या तो पहले HR मीटिंग करवाते हैं, फिर भगा देते हैं कंपनी से. ये मैंने बहुत होते हुए देखा. I've even had to fire people in my time when they were not performing. So it's very important to have those same rules apply in your personal life as well. You have to demote as well. कि तुम दोस्त थे, अभी तुम acquaintance बन गए. Acquaintance से मैं कौन तुम कौन. Because if someone is slowing you down, you got to clear the path. A bad reputation is extremely hard to fix. Alright guys, remember your reputation will follow you for decades. So build a good one. Make sure every time you interact with someone, so be mindful of that. That according to me is also an extension of the mindfulness concept. Be mindful of who you surround yourself with. Be mindful of the things that are working for you. Be mindful of how effective you are being in your role. Be mindful of the reputation you build. See, to some degree it's controllable by you. To some degree. But to some degree people may not, give a damn about what your reputation is. They'll be like, हाँ ठीक है ना, तो क्या हुआ? And the last line which I'd like to leave you with, a very popular quote. You can Google it, okay? I don't even remember who said it, but I really remember this quote throughout my life. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Stay hungry. यार मेरे को और कुछ सीखना है. I want to be better. I want to be smarter. I want to be more nimble. I want to be more creative. I want to be more accessible. I want to be more resourceful. I want to be in the thick of it. That's called hunger. Okay? Stay foolish. Say, भाई मेरे को कुछ मालूम नहीं है. 4 चीजें मालूम है because I was curious. But there are many things I don't know. But I'll try to find out. I say this even in my talks, Q&A में कभी-कभी if someone asks me a real googly question, I'll say, भाई मेरे को मालूम नहीं है. तू भी Google खोल, मैं भी खोलता हूँ. And maybe I'll take off from there. So don't be arrogant about your degrees. ठीक है, it's very easy to be arrogant when you have an MBA and a Ph.D. But I've always been brought up by a mother who taught me that arrogance is where the downfall begins. Be accessible, be kind, be helpful, yaar. And most importantly, understand that knowledge is cheap. Why is it cheap? Because anyone can search for things on Google. It's the application of that knowledge that goes deep, all right? So don't declare your intent. I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to create this. I'm going to build this. I'm going to go here. अरे बको मत यार, करिए. Prove your mettle, all right? Which reminds me of a quote from a very tacky movie which some of y'all may have seen called Once Upon a Time in Mumbai with Ajay Devgan. हिम्मत बताई नहीं दिखाई जाती है. ठीक है, तो बोलिए मत, करिए. और YouTube पे जाइए, सब्सक्राइब करिए. कर सकते हैं, मतलब जबरदस्ती नहीं है. अभी बढ़ गए हैं कुछ सब्सक्राइबर्स, ऐसी बात नहीं है. आई पुट लॉट ऑफ वीडियोज एंड रिकॉर्डिंग्स. आई हैव डन लॉट्स ऑफ अदर टॉक्स एट कॉलेजेस, इंस्टा लाइव. कभी कभी गंजी पहन के आई गो डाउन फॉर अ वॉक, तब भी मैं बात करता हूँ. आई लाइक टॉकिंग. Okay, so this is me on YouTube. Just go Dr. Aman Bhonsle, and you can, if you like listening to me and you want to hear some other things, because I do a lot of talks, especially on relationships as well. In fact, this may be one of the first times I'm only talking to an MBA crowd. So that's why you can see I'm quite excited. I'm in the zone today. Okay, so YouTube is one way to stalk me. Subscribe करिए, no harm. इंस्टा पे भी मैं हूँ यार, ऐसी बात नहीं है. आई डोंट पोस्ट रेगुलरली मैं नाश्ते में क्या खाया. आई डोंट ओन एनी क्यूट पेट्स विथ हुम आई ऐसे फेस लुक ही इज माय बेटा, ऐसा नहीं करता मैं. ओके, आई डोंट पोस्ट फोटोज एंड ऑल. एंड आउटफिट ऑफ द डे तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं करता मैं. लिमिटेड आउटफिट्स है मेरी. यही ग्रे जैकेट में बड़े सालों से रगड़ रहा हूँ. बट येस, यू कैन फाइंड मी देयर. आई डू IGTV and I do a lot of collabs. And that's a photo of me and my dad. I post a lot of funny photos from the old days with a little story attached to it. So you're welcome to follow me here on Insta. It's the quickest way to connect with me. बाकी क्या है? LinkedIn तो है ही, which I told you about. If you're not on LinkedIn, this is a good excuse to create a... And yes, I used to wear earrings at one point. If you notice in this photo, फिर मैं बाद में निकाल दिया. बोले यार, लोग बोलेंगे कोई तो gangster आदमी है. So that's the last thing from my youth. I had earrings for 12 years. दोनों पे मैं पहनता मैं निकाल दिया. बोले नहीं. Now with age you have to change certain things. So remember this, guys. The name of the game is you got to change with the times. You got to adapt, and most importantly, stay hungry, stay foolish. And that's it for my slides. I think I've kept it within time. I hope so. You guys can ask questions, and I can try to give you as many answers as we can. All right. So let's go ahead. Who's going to moderate
More
this?
than stay hungry and stay foolish, we got your vibe to define your tribe. I think I'm just going to write it on my room wall.
Lovely.
Thank you so much, sir, for your brilliant insights. You dropped so many truth bombs. We needed to hear it all. We're so grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experience, and also some MBA hacks.
Yeah.
I'm sure my friends have a lot of things to ask you. So we're open for the questions now.
All right, guys.
I would encourage to everyone keep their cameras on and to come forward to ask their heart out. Yes, go to them.
So first of all, thank you for this amazing talk. I think it is definitely going to help all of us. So my question here is, as you were talking about in your talk as well, we have a lot of deadlines coming up. So when we're at the moment wherein we realize that you have your deadline in the next hour or something, it's very difficult to look at the bigger picture here. So is there some technique which will help us calm us down when we're directly into it? We have so many submissions, just like in the middle of it. So how can we calm ourselves down in that scenario and just like look at the bigger picture there?
I think the first thing you need to do is stop forcing yourself to calm down, because a lot of people are nervous because they're not calming down. So we call that an SEP, a secondary emotional problem, that now you have an emotion about another emotion. You're not supposed to be calm. You're supposed to be a little nervous. That's by design. The college has structured all this avalanche that is coming your way of assignments is designed to create a simulation of what you're going to expect in the real world, whether it's your marriages or your jobs. Deadlines are not going to leave you. If you want to be in the corporate world, the deadline. That's why I left the corporate world after serving it for 12 years, because now I like to work for myself. See, there's a little Walter White on the right side, those who see Breaking Bad, self-employed man, banne ka. Then set your own deadlines. And see, it's very important to have a system that works for you. I said this in my slide. If you're feeling nervous, it's all right. You can work despite the nervousness, okay? A lot of adults are just good actors. They act like they're not nervous, but they are all shitting bricks, I assure you. They're just good at showing that they're not. So get organized, get with the program. It's like someone asking me, what is the hack to addressing hunger? Khana khao. That's the hack. What's the hack to getting work done? Kam kariye. It's that simple. Don't analyze it as so much. Attack it. And as I said, get organized, create a schedule, create a calendar, and get with the program, yeah. Your work is not going to become less based on the fact that you are nervous or experiencing stress. उतना तो काम आपको है ही, और सिर्फ आप अकेले थोड़ी भुगत रहे हो, पूरी दुनिया आपके कॉलेज की भुगत रही है. Jaya Prasad and Samir Verma are also in that situation, are they not? So that's how it is.
Thank you, sir. Now, Prashant, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, sir, for that amazing talk. Actually, my question is like you mentioned in I think your first slide that we should take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
And I started my MBA with that thought only, and it was going great. I used to feel very good about myself. Every day I used to make a list and do everything. I mean, complete all the things, and then I used to feel actually that was working for me. But recently, क्या हो रहा है कि थोड़ा आग बुझ रही है, kind of कम हो रही है. So how to keep that up basically.
देखो ऐसा है ना यार, किसी भी स्केड्यूल में ना वैरायटी होना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि आप वही चीज बार बार करोगे ना, थोड़ी ऊब आ जाती है, थकान आ जाती है. यू स्टार्ट फीलिंग क्या है यार वही. So I remember when I was doing my MBA, na, I used to watch back then there was this show called Heroes, which was huge. Okay, so I remember between assignments I used to watch 1 or 2 episodes of Heroes. Someone used to give it to me. उस ज़माने CDs होते थे, CD पे burn करके देते थे, मुझे यार Heroes देखो. So I'd say I need to get through this hour so I can earn the right to watch another episode of Heroes. Okay, and then we all know what happened with season 3. It was a disaster, but whatever. Luckily season 2 चल रहा था. So I always had designed something to look forward to. So one of my most favorite things to do was to walk around with my bowl of Maggie and my chai and watch everyone else suffer at night, because I knew that I have gone through that during the day when they were out making merry. रात का राजा. I said I'm going to walk around in my shorts, with my hair fully open. मेरे से लंबे घुंघराले बाल थे, and I used to enjoy that. So I would look forward कि यार शाम को ऐश है, I can go, and the weather was also nicer. I don't like sunlight very much, as you can tell. It's a pretty dark room I'm in, So you have to design pursuits in a manner that things are mixed up. You have something to look forward to, so you reward yourself also, na yaar. So for example, I'll tell you now, current reward system is when I know I have done really well. I've done बहुत काम किया है. I eat this thing known as नल्ली निहारी. It's my favorite dish. One of these home chefs sends me 2-2 किलो के मंगाता हूँ. तो I know that today is निहारी day. तो आज रगड़ के काम करना है भाई साहब. I'll go and work out also. 1.5 घंटा मैं चल के आऊँगा. I'll say now तुमने कमाया है, and then I'll watch something. I have to watch the next 3 episodes of Ray on Netflix. So I create reward systems that help me power through the day. तो वो आग अगर टेम्पररली बुझ रही है, बहुत नॉर्मल बात है यार प्रशांत, सबके साथ होता है यार. सम डेज इवन आई एम वेक अप, आई एम लाइक क्या यार मेरे को नहीं करना है काम यार, बट इट्स नॉर्मल. इट्स जस्ट यू हैव टू पावर थ्रू इट. वंस यू गेट ओवर दैट इनिशियल इनर्शिया ना, जैसे बोलते हैं, एंड यू क्रिएट दैट रिवॉर्ड. नहीं यार आज शाम को मेरी निहारी है, मेरा शो है, मेरा वर्कआउट के बाद ये आई एम गोना हैव अ नाइस हॉट शावर. ओके, दैट इज हाउ यू हैव टू ट्रिक योरसेल्फ इनटू गेटिंग स्टफ डन. So you have to play these little games with yourself, thoda sa. That's how I would do it. That's how I would recommend you try doing it.
Thank you.
I think Prashant must have got the answer to your question.
Yeah.
Jaya, would you like to go next?
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for your insights. So my question is, how can one keep oneself motivated through this stressful days? Like when we are so much overwhelmed with our deadlines and with pre-reads and all the stuff coming up. So what is that one thing that you would suggest that can keep us motivated?
I think always focus on the big picture. Focus on the life you are trying to build. To some degree, you're suffering right now, so that you learn how to suffer. Because the suffering, bad news is the suffering is not going to end. You're only going to get better at dealing with it. Now you're suffering because of assignments and teachers and committees. Later you'll suffer because your boss is, an asshole, or your colleagues are stealing credit, or your workplace is too far, or you don't have a place to park in the office building, or your pay got cut, TDS ज़्यादा काट लिया, or HR screwed you on the deal. Stress आपके life से कहीं नहीं जा रहा है. In fact ज़्यादा आने वाला है. Trust me, when you see how much electricity and Wi-Fi costs in this city, that's another type of stress. आपको BKC में जाके दुलाली में बैठना है. बाप के पैसे से बहुत आसान है ये सब करना. जब खुद की आती है ना, and every 50 rupee, then you'll understand why mom used to bargain for dhania patta. It's an expensive city. If y'all are Bombay based, man, it's an expensive city. So learn to make your peace with stress. Say ये तो जाने वाला है नहीं मेरी life से. I just have to get better at dealing with it. You know. So whenever I have a stressful day, I kind of try to personify the stress. I say, अच्छा तो आ गया तो फिर से. We're back, my old friend. I remember you from my first breakup. I remember you from the time, you know, I owned too many chappals. I remember you from the time when a lot of Goa trips got canned because someone didn't get permission from home. I remember you. You're my old friend, yaar. Tu to bahut aaya hai. Huh? I know how to deal with you. I need to get busy with the program and keep moving in the desired direction. You want a good life. So dream of that life, yeah. I remember this movie I had watched called Collateral with Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I think Amazon Prime पे है. उसमें you know, he's a taxi driver and this hitman assassin comes. वो भी ऐसे grey suit पहनता है उस movie में. I love that movie. And he has a photo of a beach which he opens. You know, windows ये होता है ना ऊपर का storage in a car right above the driver's steering wheel. He keeps looking at that photo beach में, and the guy says, "Why do you keep looking at that photo?" He's like, "That's how I take my holiday. It's been a long day." He just looks at that photo. It's a nice psychological holiday कि कभी मैं इधर जाऊंगा, लाइफ में कभी तो जाऊंगा, इस बीच पे जाके बैठूंगा, पर अभी मैं जा नहीं सकता because I'm a taxi driver. So I just look at the photo and I close it. You know how some people look at their God, some people look at their family. So you have to create these little ways in which you say, I remember who I'm doing it for, or what I'm doing it for. I want to own this car, I want to own this house, or I want to take this holiday, I want to go to Bali, I want to go to the Maldives and meet Disha Patni and Tiger Shroff who are there all the time. Whatever you want to do, you understand. You have to want it badly enough to work towards it. Okay, I know it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy. It's like somebody eating a mirchi and saying, "अरे तीखा है रे." मैं बोल अच्छा. What were you expecting? गाजर का हलवा थोड़ी ना था. बोल ग्रीन है, मिर्ची है, तीखी तो होगी. MBA है भाई. हर कोई नहीं करता. Those who can't take the pressure, वो उनके बैचलर्स डिग्री से खुश हैं. और उनके भी करियर बनते हैं. ऐसी बात नहीं है कि सिर्फ MBA वालों को होता है यार. I know many people without MBAs who are making tons of money, not here but in developed countries also. So, calm down. It'll all work itself out if you don't work yourself up. Okay?
Thank you so much, sir. Samir, would you like to go next?
Hi, sir. So, sir, now my MBA life started. So, you know, we all got overwhelmed by multiple deadlines, multiple tasks at one point of time. So, during the coping process, we get self-critical of our very own work. So, how to control that overthinking process, or how to focus on one single task? Like we are working on one particular task, but we are thinking of, constantly thinking of other some projects or tests in the background.
Yeah.
So how to control that feeling?
देखो ऐसा है ना समीर, regardless of your opinion on how well you have performed the task has to be performed. Whether you think you did a good job or whether you think you did a shit job, the job has to be done. So if you think about it that way, what you think about it doesn't really make a difference to the task itself. The task has to be done regardless of your opinion of how well it was, met the deadline or the requirement. So overthinking is, like I keep telling people, analysis is an abyss. It's an endless abyss. You can analyze everything. Why is this control white? Why is water wet? You can go down any road and analyze it endlessly. This is what the pre-Socratic philosophers made this mistake. They wanted to analyze everything and they didn't get any answers because there aren't some answers waiting out there for you. So it's very important to accept the fact that yes, there will be good days and bad days. There will be projects you do really well and there are projects you will completely bomb. There are times where you are on a team project and the team is amazing and you guys do something great, and there is a time when your team is full of lallus and you have to end up doing all the work. It's very common. हमारे time में भी होता था. I know all these problems. Okay, तुम ही सबके averages तुमने pull up किए हैं. I've done those kinds of things as well. होता है, नहीं? So every situation has to be judged based on its uniqueness. There is no one size fits all. अंडरस्टैंड दैट ठीक है यार, ये असाइनमेंट थोड़ा अच्छा जा सकता था लेकिन नहीं गया, क्या करेंगे? दैट्स लाइफ. कभी कभी कुछ दिन अच्छा नहीं जाता, कभी बारिश, कभी धूप, कभी ठंडी. मौसम भी बदलता है, वैसे जिंदगी के भी बहुत मौसम है यार. There are good, assignments where you can really sink your teeth in and, really show the teacher ki, yeah, this is my competence. And there are some assignments where you come in, on the stage, like, hey, this is what we have done. Thank you very much. We are group number 6. You know what I mean? So it's really, there are no two situations in life that are identical. Understand this. So be patient with the situation. Try to do your best. Apply yourself in the way that you know how to. And if you don't know how to, you figure out how to. You learn. You find people who know better than you. You talk to them. I always tell this to people. It's not a crime to borrow from the experience and expertise of other people. Borrow from them. Borrow liberally from them. And you may be able to add to your approach and create a hybrid approach which helps you tackle these things far better. As I told the previous lady who asked me the question, remember what you're doing it for. Remember what's at stake. Okay?
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Shreyanshu, would you like to go next?
Good evening, sir. I just would like to mention that I've got 2 submissions this week.
Achha.
At least I think I've got 2 submissions this week, and I'll make sure to try out the productivity hacks that you just mentioned in the session today. So my question is, I think one thing that I think a lot of people end up doing is overthinking. We keep thinking about the future, and it just gets very overwhelming because nothing seems certain, and it just adds on to our insecurities and fears, and we end up having a lot of negative thoughts.
Yeah.
So what should we do to deal with them?
Well, it's very important to remember that your future to some degree is not in your hands. Like, for example, the day you will die is not in your hands. What kind of experience you will have at your first job, that's also not in your hands. That really depends on the team composition, the scope of responsibilities that are handed over to you. Are you being overworked or underworked? Because both are problematic. What's the work-life balance? What's the commute time? How many Zoom calls you need to get on? So understand one thing, life is multifactorial and multifaceted. So your worrying about the future is certainly not going to contribute to designing the future, because the future has its own designs based on many other factors, as I said. And I told you what these factors are. So, and also what happens very often is you change as a person. Like, I spent a decade in TV advertising and I was good at it and I loved it. And one day I just got sick of it. Like, it made me sick in the stomach. And I had given a decade of my life to it. And I said, what next? So that's when I decided that I've reached an inflection point as a human being, as an observer of the corporate system. And I have reached the conclusion that I no longer want to be a part of it. But if not this, then what? I was living in Singapore, one of the most expensive cities. I said, Singapore mein to nahi continue kar sakte. But while I'm here and I'm making the Singapore money, maybe I can train myself in something. I asked one of my close friends, I said, क्या लगता है क्या करूँ? He said, अरे तू marketing कर, ये कर. I was like, नहीं यार, ये सामान नहीं बेचना मुझे. I'm done with it. बहुत बेच लिया यार, सामान बेच लिया, TV show बेच लिया, बेच ही रहा हूँ यार मैं. I said, I want to work with people who are scared, people who are confused, people who think life is hard. Then I said, यार ये तो psychology वाली बात आ गई. Psychology वाले तो अपन है ही नहीं. So then I found out how to get a Ph.D. in the subject. I did research. I did all that was required. Spent a lot of time, read a lot of books, watched a lot of videos. And then I said, yaar, maybe this was my destiny. Maybe I was meant to do this because I love doing this now. I feel like I'm able to meet all the younger versions of myself, I see Nihal Gajaria and all, how he's looking like this. मैं भी ऐसा ही था भाई, थोड़े लंबे बाल थे मेरे, फटती थी फ्यूचर से. We were all scared. We didn't know, job नहीं था यार. तो global recession में MBA खत्म हुआ था हमारा. Our entire batch was stripped of even the glory of having an MBA. What good are you? घर पे बैठा हुआ है MBA, कड़ी चावल खा रहा है, पराठे खा रहा है MBA. Nonsense. And I got the only job I got was in a jungle. और वहाँ भी ऐसे जलील करने वाले काम देते थे कि पूरा एरोगेंस जितना थोड़ा भी था ना, हैविंग सम डीन्स कप एंड ऑल, ऐसे डीन इधर नहीं आने वाला अमन भोसले तुमको सांप से बचाने के लिए. एक बार मुझे याद है, they gave me a basket full of snakes saying take this basket from point A to point B. The snakes need to be fed. I'm like, अच्छा इसके लिए मैंने किया था MBA. But then गुरूर टूटता है आपका, जो बहुत जरूरी है, जो दुनिया तोड़ेगी. So it's very, very important to remember that yes, the stress is there. but there is no way to predict the future, so don't try it. No one has predicted their future. Roll with the punches, yeah. Some attacks you will dodge, and some will land on your face. Tufan, Farhan Akhtar, okay? So that's life. That's the name of the game. You will fall flat on your face many times. एकदम Voldemort वाला नाक हो जाएगा आपका. But then you get up again and say, you know what, screw this. I can do better, I can learn from this, and I can navigate differently so that I don't make the same mistakes again, so that the same situations don't, create impediments in my journey ahead. Because no two situations are the same. You are the same, you feel you're the same, but even you are changing, na boss. Think of how you were on your first day, and then track how you end up becoming on the last day of your course. It'll be slightly different. And hopefully you'll be proud of the second version. It's like an app gets updated to prevent it from hanging. You have to keep updating yourself as well. You're like an app. In fact, you're a lot more complicated than an app. You have emotions. Apps don't have emotions. All right. So there you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Can we have Millie next?
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for the session. So my question was, the stress is not just from MBA. So we are all in the pandemic right now, and everybody is at home, studying from home. So there are certain responsibilities that we have towards our family, and because of this hectic schedule and everything, there's a very less time that get to spend time with family. So there are some instances where there is a certain kind of isolation that is felt in the home itself.
Yeah.
So how to deal with this kind of issues at home?
See, it's important to make time for family. No doubt about that. But if your family really loves you, if they really listen, and if they really care, they'll understand. You tell them, yeah, this is a crunch time for me. Thoda chal raha hai, matlab kaam hai, and I'm not able to balance all facets. So, give me a leg up out here, give me a free pass out here, because there's only 24 hours in the day and there's only so much of me to go around, So, you can't pass me around like a salad, I'm a human being, I have emotions, I have needs for space, I have needs for, productivity, but also for, free time. So, yes, remember, there will never be at a time in your life, rather, there will never be a time in your life where everyone in your life is happy with you. If you are satisfying the boss, the husband is upset. If the husband is happy, the kid wants something more. When you have a child, if you choose to have a child, your choice, of course. If your child is very happy, maybe his teachers are not happy. Maybe the in-laws have a problem. Maybe your parents say, "Yara, you're always with your in-laws, tum humko bhul gaye ho." Everyone will want to pull from you and extract something from you, because that's just how the world is. Okay, so you have to decide how much you're willing to supply and how much you're willing to keep for yourself. And I always say this to everyone, keep a little something for yourself. Your self-respect, the love you feel for yourself, is non-negotiable, because you got to be whole as a person to be able to provide to all these other various departments that keep requiring you to come back and give them a little something, right? So that's very important to remember. You can't be everywhere at the same time. Someone is going to be disappointed. You get to choose whom. Sometimes the family will be disappointed, sometimes the friends will be disappointed, sometimes the spouse, sometimes the child, sometimes society, sometimes other women, sometimes the sibling will be disappointed, but they will always find something to be disappointed over, because you can't give everyone everything. I always give this classic example to my students. I say, even if a man is sitting on a chair in the corner of a road, someone will come and have a problem with that. Someone will say, "Why are you sitting? You should stand, it's better for your legs, stretch your legs every now and then." Someone will say, "Why are you sitting on a chair? You should sit on a couch, life is meant to be enjoyed, my friend. Why sit on a chair when there are couches, leather ka wahan Chesterfield ka couch leke baitho yaar, paisa hai, main deke deta hu." Someone will say, "Look at this asshole sitting on a chair when all of us have to work so hard and take this horrible train to an even more horrible life at the office." Someone will say, "Look yaar, tu bhi baith raha hai, main bhi baithta hu yaar, chal na, dono chair khelte hain, musical chairs." Everyone will have an opinion. He's just sitting on a chair. Someone will say, "This is my chair, give me." Someone will say, "This is a Hindu chair, this is a Muslim chair." It's just a guy on a chair, which is the most uncomplicated scenario I can think of. Now imagine all the other stuff you are doing. It's far more nuanced and complicated. Of course they're going to have an opinion on it, but it's your job to ignore it. Just because they're your family doesn't mean you owe them everything. You owe them something, but keep something back for yourself also, yaar. You're a human being, not a robot. Love, Death and Robots on Netflix. Dekha hai ki nahi? It's quite nice. You're not one of them, okay? Focus on the love, the self-love.
Yes, sir, you were really right mentioning that. Aditi, would you like to go next?
Good evening, sir. Your session was really insightful. So, my question to you is like for some of us in the long run, a crazy hectic life is not what we want. So, is it still worth stressing yourself in the moment when you know it is transient?
See, everything in life is transient. Everything. But ऐसा है ना यार, training ground जो है ना, I keep telling people this, okay, maybe a very unpopular opinion. MBA is like a themed vacation because the real world is like World War Z. Your colleagues and bosses are like zombies at the door, army of the dead feel. Ekdam. They will tear you down. They will tear down your work, your self-respect, everything you are if you don't give them the results they think they deserve or they think they are paying you for. थोड़ा AC कम कर रहा हूँ यार, ठंड हो गई थोड़ी सी. So it's very important to understand that you got to find a balance. If you want to maybe open a BNB in the hills, okay, and you want to retire in the mountains because आपने इंस्टा पे कुछ देखा, get into permaculture and organic farming and make your own little kombucha bottles and have a little dog called Alfred who you take on long walks. You know what that requires? Money. Where's it going to come from? You're going to ask daddy for a loan because daddy has his own opinions. He'll say, screw you, I didn't put you through MBA college and pay a couple of lakhs so you could go and play farmer in Nainital. Come your ass down and give me what I deserve. I want people to say, मेरी बेटी ये कर रही है, MBA कर रही है. So see, when you don't have financial autonomy, it substantially reduces your leverage at home and anywhere else. आपका bargaining power है ही नहीं. Unfortunate truth of this world is that to get anything moving, you need money. You need capital. You need an investment or an investor. To get an investor, you got to be a sweet talker. To get an investment, you got to be a sweet walker, walking all the way to the bank. So you, either ways, that's also a stressful situation, that my dream is this close, I have the idea, I have the business plan, I have even found the perfect land, and I even know where to get my customers from, but paisa nahi hai. Kya kiya jaye? Dhaka dalenge? Great train robbery? Of course not. So you have to understand that that's also stress. So maybe the current stress you are experiencing is preparing you for the future stress you will be experiencing, because one way or the other, both of these are stress related. So suffer, but suffer with dignity. That's what I say. Because the suffering won't end, only its nature will change and you will get better at it. Okay. Better at managing it. Bolo. बहुत पानी पी रहा हूँ.
Thank you so much.
गला सूख गया.
Yeah,
हाँ,
you go.
बोले.
So I see my friends are really curious. I hope you have some more time to just have some questions.
Why not?
Thank you so much.
Why not?
Yeah, Oneself, can you go ahead?
Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir.
Hi.
I actually wanted to ask you that I at times feel that I'm subconsciously choosing what my peers are. What everyone else is doing, I feel like चलो यही कर लेते हैं, वही कर लेते हैं, but I'm unable to create my own identity and मुझको ऐसे गुम नहीं होना ऐसे भीड़ में, but I don't know how to deal with this and it really scares me at times कि how I can deal with this and how I can be that confident that I have to create my own identity without losing my charm.
I tell you, man, this is a very common problem. So it's not something that makes you less in any way, okay? So please don't feel bad about having asked this question. Because I think a lot of people, especially, how old are you? 20, 21, 18, 19? How old are you, Urjita?
I'm 23.
23, sure, 23, good age to be. All right. So particularly at this age, right, the early 20s, there is a pressure to fit in. But, as you grow older, as you work more, you realize that as hard as you try to fit in, there'll always be something very different about the way you process the world, because that's also directly connected with how you grew up, the kind of parents you had, the kind of money they had spent on you. Especially a lot of girls, they have a lot of sexism, casual sexism happen in their house, especially in India. I hear this every day. So a lot of those factors, or a lot of girls feel the need to prove that they're better than boys or they're as good as boys, which I think is asinine. I'd argue that girls are better than boys. In any, you give birth to a completely new human being from your body. Show me a man who can do that, all right? That's superhuman stuff, okay? So I have a deep respect for women, but society unfortunately hasn't learned that at large. Okay, only in small pockets. So I understand this need to prove yourself. I understand this need to, make a statement. But the only way you will be able to make this statement, Urjita, is if you are in touch with who you really are. And the only way to be in touch with who you really are is to know what excites the shit out of you. Like, what excites you? You know what excites me? Talking to people like you all. It excites me. I don't know if you can tell. Kitna pani aadha bottle khali ho gaya. I love talking. When I was in school, my teacher, I remember my English teacher once said, Aman Bhonsle talks too much. Aman Bhonsle, no one is going to pay you money to talk. 3 seconds of silence for that teacher. Unfortunately, I learned she passed away a few years ago. But, well, I do get paid to speak now. What I did was I just mastered that skill because I realized I love talking. Boy, I love talking. I can be here endlessly. आप लोग, I give 3-hour lectures. That's the average time I give. तुम लोग को तो बहुत मैंने 10% भी नहीं दिया है. I had literally just 17 slides. My slides are like 50, 55. So I can do this all day, as Captain America says, all right. So you got to figure out, Urjita, what drives you crazy in the best of ways. What you are excited by. What makes you want to get up and dance. What makes you want to have more coffee and get back on the desk. And you got to create systems, you got to create vibes that help you become the best version of you. Because if you try to be a cheap knockoff of someone else, you'll not be as good as them. And they'll notice. So they'll make you feel bad for having tried. Which they'll do anyway. If you succeed too much, people say, oh, he's proud. He shows off. If you don't succeed, they'll say he's useless. Darte ka boj. So one way or the other, people are going to have something to say. So to hell with what they want. To hell with what they think. Be who you are. If there's something you love it madly, deeply and truly. Like that song by Savage Garden when I was growing up. Maybe it's before your time, guys. There's a song called Truly, Madly, Deeply. I used to love it as a kid. So that's how much you got to be obsessed with it to become good at it. Once you're good at it, it doesn't matter what others think. People will find you and pay you money because they know how good you are. Okay. So if you want to start a home kitchen and make bread, make the best damn bread that Bombay has eaten. If you want to get into crypto, be the person people go to and learn crypto mining from. Start online classes. If you want to be a fitness trainer, be in such good shape that Disha Patni looks obese in front of you. You know what I mean? If you want to be, popular and you want to be a stand-up comic, be the funniest person out there. That all these other people should want to retire having after seeing your act. I recommend you watch this movie called Nightcrawler, which is on Netflix. It's a very dark movie. I'm telling you now only. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal, but it shows to what lengths a man can be obsessed with wanting something. He doesn't mind if people die also, but he's just obsessed. Din Raat, all he thinks of is I want to be important, and I will do anything to be important. So then, of course, that's a little pathological as well. But it's just a good movie to show people what is required to really be yourself or find yourself and the kind of rejection you have to face along the road. Even a movie which many people have seen, this Farhan Akhtar movie called Luck by Chance. He wants to be an actor so badly, he finds a very sly way of, getting it. He tries to flatter the senior actress and then she gives him an opportunity, etc. So you have to find ways, and a lot of times these ways will not be taught to you in MBA classrooms. Your charm, your guile, your बदतमीजी, थोड़ी बदतमीज भी होना पड़ता है. You have to call up, sir, job कब दे रहे हो? काम आता है मुझे. You have to be that way. Then people will like how daring you are. Saying, मेरे को देखे तो देखो यार, don't pay me if you don't like it. Like I like people who have that kind of confidence. Don't pay me. I'm sending you a biryani. Don't pay me if you don't like it. I'll take the hit. And then you eat it and you're like, यार ये तो बहुत अच्छा है भाई, तू पैसे ले भाई और अगली बार भी भेजना. That's confidence, and that doesn't come overnight. So little bit थोड़ा acting भी करना पड़ता है. Even if you're feeling scared, you have to convince the person in front of you that you know what you're doing. And then once they are convinced, go on Google and figure it out. कि यार ये तो करना है. Or meet people who know what they are doing and say, भाई ये मुझे सीखना है. I have told someone I'm going to deliver a corporate film for them. I've never even shot a dog video on my handy cam. So I have 1 week to figure out how to make a film. So I need a course that I can finish. So then quickly get an online course, how filmmaking basics, ye wo. And you can learn any skill within a week. I assure you. You may not be the best at it, but you'll be competent enough to justify the money being spent on you. And if you have a natural aptitude for it, it helps. Well, that's what I feel.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll definitely try all this.
Siddharth, you can go next.
Good evening, sir. So my question is in continuation with what Pujita had to ask. So I'll try to connect it with my real life. So I have played professional cricket.
Lovely.
And what happened was I used to, whenever it came to fielding, so I used to prefer positions where I knew the batsman wouldn't hit a lot of shots. So basically I was very defensive. And then I see people who are very animated and aggressive when they're like to stand at regions such as point. So how to make that shift from being a defensive sort of personality to an attacker? So yeah.
See, you have to understand one thing, that whatever you're afraid of, you will continue to be afraid of it regardless. The trick is to challenge that fear and do it anyway. I'll give you a very silly example, and I'm telling you it's silly. When I was a child, I was scared of needles. Injection ho, ya blood test ho. You know what I do? Even now, like I had last year to kuch RT-PCR वगैरह मैंने करवाया था. The technician came and he was going to put needle. He said, "Sir, आप needle ठीक है." Suddenly he wanted to become my counselor. He suddenly some very funny technician. He wanted to make small talk. "Sir, आपको डर तो नहीं लगता needle से?" I said, "बेटा डर लगता है, लेकिन डर से ज़्यादा मुझे थकान हुई है इस डर से. I'm tired of being afraid. तो जब तू needle डाल रहा है, I want to stare right at the bloody needle as you put it in and face that fear." So even now, even though I'm still scared of needles, I'm not say I've given up. I stare at the damn needle when they put it in, and I force myself to experience that discomfort. And then after I experience the discomfort, I tell myself, "Aman, साले जिंदा है तो अभी भी." तो डर तो है, माउंटेन ड्यू नहीं डर के आगे जीता है, डर के आगे डर ही है. But you gotta face it. You gotta brace yourself. Okay, I'm scared. Yes, I've not done this before. Yes, this is not my natural game. Yes, this is not that my experience doesn't let me feel confident enough. But I'm gonna do it anyway. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या होगा? Some people will come and say, "थू इसको तो देना नहीं चाहिए था." शी, ये क्या आदमी है? किसको तुमने डाला यार फील्ड पे? यार, you should be playing गिल्ली डंडा and some खोपचा, not bloody be on a cricket field. This is a gentleman's sport. यही बोलेंगे ना? फिर क्या होगा? दूसरे दिन आओगे फिर से, नेट प्रैक्टिस पे जाओ फिर से. That's the name of the game. Never ever let people tell you who you are. उनकी क्या मजाल है that they'll tell you who you are? They know you better than you? Nonsense. Even your psychotherapist doesn't know you as well as you do. So have a spine and go and do it again. थोड़ी बेशर्मी चाहिए होती है कि ठीक है यार, लास्ट टाइम तो मतलब पूरा मैं फैल गया था, इस बार थोड़ा अलग ट्राई करते हैं, फिर से फैल जाओगे. It's about having the ability to fall down and get up. Again, 90s song reference. Maybe it's before your time. There's a song called Tub Thumping. Spotify pe laga lo. And that the lyrics are, "I get knocked down, but I get up again, because you're never going to keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again, because you're never going to keep me down." गाना है, वो lyrics वही है गाने के, वही repeat करता है. One of my favorite songs. सुनता हूँ मैं. I remember once I did this talk at a college and I was not happy with how it went, but everyone loved it. And because I record all my talks and later I see it, I said, मैं बहुत ज़्यादा मूंछ को हाथ लगा रहा हूँ यार. इस talk में I counted 15 times I touched my mooch. But then later as I saw the talk, I started finding it funny. I said we should have a drink. I should have a drinking game with this talk. Number of times I touched my mooch. Then the next time I did a college talk, I said, इस बार तो मैं conscious होने वाला हूँ. Okay, so I'm going to keep my hands planted and not touch my mooch so much. And it reduced over time. पहले तो ऐसे हर 2 मिनट में I used to do this. It almost looked like comical on video. So you see, we all bomb yaar. We all defy sometimes our own expectations when we do really well or when we really do badly. And that's okay, bros. होता है यार सिड, सच बताऊं तो लाइफ बहुत लंबी है यार. अभी तुम्हारी मूंछ नहीं निकली है ठीक से, बहुत तुमको रिजेक्शन सहने पड़ेंगे. गर्लफ्रेंड है कि नहीं? वहां तो सबसे ज्यादा रिजेक्शन होती है. 10 लड़कियों को पूछोगे 9 जूता देंगी और एक बोलेगी मे बी वी कैन गो टू स्टारबक्स. दिस इज द नेम ऑफ द गेम. Get used to rejection if you want to succeed. Rejection nahi chahiye. If you play too safe, then you will get nothing worth showing off about. I remember when I first went to MTV office to get a job, 2 बार सालों ने मेरे को reject किया. And then MTV Singapore hired me. Not MTV Mumbai तो rejected me twice. MTV Singapore hired me, my last media job. And then I at the end rejected it and said मेरे को नहीं करना है भैया. मेरा PhD खत्म हो गया है. I paid off my house. Whatever I needed to do in Singapore is done. I'm going back to Amchi, Mumbai. But the roads are terrible, but the food is nice. All right. Thank you very much. That was how I ended it. My first job interview was with MTV. My last job was with Viacom MTV. Only they paid a lot more this time. And that was how I ended it. This is now I leave when I want to leave. So that's how it has to be. When you enter the pavilion, somebody else has called you. But when you leave, it should be only when you are ready to leave, Sid. I'm not ready yet. I'm not finished playing my best game. तो किस बात का डर है? लोगों का डर. लोग आते जाते हैं यार, बोलते रहेंगे. उसमें क्या है? मैं भी कुछ 4 चीजें बोल रहा हूँ, 4 चीजें तुम याद भी करोगे. Words are cheap. It's the application. How many people are here on this call today? Let's see. What's the number? We have 65 participants. 65 में से अगर 2 लोग भी मेरी बात समझ गए ना और उनकी लाइफ को फायदा होगा, I say that's a great percentage. Some people will like, अरे यार ये बहुत ज़्यादा बोल रहे हैं अंकल, हमको घर जाना है, छोड़ना. हम भी ऐसे ही थे when guest lectures would come. How can I? So it's very important that you are focused on. I gave them my best. Baki, some will leave the nest. Samjhe? So that's what I have for you, Sid. Little motivation, little practical wisdom. Don't be scared. Or continue to be scared, but just act like you're not. And force yourself to be in that situation. Ghus jao.
Thank you.
Nihal, would you like to go next?
सिद्धार्थ स्माइल कर रहा है. सिद्धार्थ looks happy है. चलो ठीक है. लिख ले अच्छी बात है. सिद्ध क्या लिख रहा है मालूम नहीं. ठीक है. Go ahead. Who's next?
So Nihal,
Nihal,
so thank you. Really like the analogy you gave about the needle. I faced the same issue with needles, so I think I'm going to try it next time.
What needles and all that? What is all this? Drug menace in India? What is happening?
No, the injection.
Acha, no needle. मैं बोला यार.
Yeah.
Pulling your leg. Yeah. I like to have fun, as you can tell. We got to keep things light. Bolo Nihal. I'm listening.
Yes, sir. So sir, there have been instances at work. So I've worked for like 3 years before for joining here.
Lovely.
And there have been instances at work where I really don't like the projects or the tasks that are given to me, and I haven't really given my 100% then. And there have been instances which pay off a lot and which are really interesting, and there I've given my 100% and I've realized what my caliber is too. It's given me a lot of confidence as well. But what do you think? What's your opinion on this kind of attitude at work?
नहीं ये कैसा है ना निहाल, जैसे I'll give you a very simple example. देखो जैसे कोई सब्जियां आप खाते हो, आपको बहुत पसंद आती है, आलू बन गई आज, मजा आ गया. और कभी कोई घर पे टिंडे बनाता है, लगा अरे यार कौन खाएगा अभी यार, चिकन विकन करो ना कोई बाहर से ऑर्डर. So same way you can't like 2 vegetables or 2 songs the same way or 2 people the same way. You certainly are not expected to love all your projects just because they are part of your job. So you and every other human being will play favorites with every aspect of life, whether it's people, whether it's locations, whether it's food, whether it's colors. We all have certain favorites, isn't it? And that's natural. So obviously when you like something a little more, you're going to be fully invested in it, and when something's not your jam, you're going to disinvest, so to speak. However, if you are constantly disinvesting and that comes to the notice of your seniors, they may see it as a competence issue rather than a compatibility issue. Compatibility as an interest. So it's very important to, like when I worked also in the corporate world, there was a lot of shit that was shoveled my way and I didn't enjoy doing it. But I said, bhai, the larger game is they are paying me. The larger game is I get to live in Singapore. The larger game is my reputation doesn't have a dent in it. The boss says, I remember he introduced me there was some guy had come from the US. He said, this guy is my action man from India. You press a button and watch him go. He gets shit done. That's how my boss introduced me, as the action man, and I was holding one Red Bull like a fool and one bao in Singapore. Bao was like the Singaporean vada pav. And I was like, action man. He said, because I know when Aman Bhonsle is given a project, Even if his legs get chopped off, he'll claw his way to the office and get it done. Because he himself doesn't leave things incomplete, or he'll say, boss, ye nahi hota re apne se. Give it to someone else, I'm swamped. So it's very important to develop an honest relationship with your employer as well. If you can do something, say, this is my ballpark. If something is not making you comfortable, you say, I'd prefer not to be on this because this is not my ballpark. Or maybe I'll do it this time, but next time please find someone else. And if your boss is bullies you, how can you play favorites? But I had to suffer when I was your age, I couldn't talk this way to my boss. Then clearly you're not in a work environment where you are being respected as a professional. Remember, your office is not your home and not your school. You are being paid for your time. Just as you need a business card which has their logo, they need good people as well for the company to do what it does. तो तुम किसी के एहसान में नहीं हो, पैसे ले रहे हो, और पैसे लेके काम करने में बहुत इज्जत होती है मेरे भाई. निहाल, किसी तो आप भांड नहीं हो कि पैसा फेंको नाचो. You're a professional with an MBA, with credentials, with an expertise, with a record. That's why you will handle that responsibility. So when you bargain and say that this is not making me comfortable, you don't have to be apologetic about it. ठीक है, कभी कभी इंडियन बॉस होता है, इंडियन वर्क एनवायरनमेंट होता है. देन यू नीड टू कीप शिफ्टिंग टिल यू फाइंड अ वर्क एनवायरनमेंट दैट इज perfectly suiting you. My first 2 jobs were nightmares because the bosses were like, they were angry, and they didn't like the fact that I was friendly with everyone, because that made, that exposed their lack of people skills as well, a lot of jealousy, because I was a boy from Cuff Parade. And my first and second boss, maybe they thought people used to tell people Cuff Parade का आदमी है, अच्छा बाप ने बड़े पैसे दिए होंगे. नहीं यार, बाप is a doctor यार. My parents are both doctors यार. So I'm not from some business family. I used to come in a छोटा, मेरा Santro था, मेरा A-star था. But ठीक है, he used to come on a bike, तो he thought अच्छा मेरे employee गाड़ी में आ रहा है. So you see, a lot of these dynamics are also there. The boss is trying. It's a pissing contest sometimes. That how much can I dabao this person before he breaks. So you have to understand that the power dynamics of the office may also be a contributing factor to the kind of projects you get handed over. Like a lot of people don't, like it when I say this, but the better dressed you are, the more well groomed you are, the more people trust you as well. Okay. If you're an attractive woman and you have good genes and you dress the part at the office, chances are you will be given a lot more significance at the office. You will get the projects. If you're a good looking guy also, sharply dressed, you're channeling your inner Harvey Specter and you come to office dressed to the T's, you speak good English, but you also speak good Hindi and you're nice to the peons, you'll be up for a senior management role before your time. So it's a lot of these factors, Nihal, you need to pay attention to. How are you dressed? Who you connect with? How good are you at the job? And yes, it's okay to not like some projects, as I said. हर चीज़ आपकी favorite नहीं हो सकती. That's okay, यार.
Thank you,
sir.
Yeah. Kashi, you might go next.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for that lovely session. So my question is that you mentioned in your other answer that women, they feel a lot of pressure more than some others who to deal with the taboos, constantly prove themselves, and of course we are also supposed to not take into account the disappointment that might accompany some of our actions. But in my experience, most of the times the person who's getting disappointed is me. So how do I manage that balance between having too many expectations of myself and meeting disappointment constantly, and also keeping a healthy level of expectations that is pushing me forward? That is a very difficult balance to ace for me.
And it's the only balance worth acing, believe me. The balance between disappointment and really nailing it, so to speak. So what I would say is, whenever you feel disappointed with yourself, whatever you've under-delivered or underperformed or over-delivered and burnt out, just remind yourself that, you're a human being and you're allowed to have flaws. You're allowed to have tastes and dislikes. You're allowed to have good days and bad days. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to even be lazy. You're allowed. No one is up there with a golden diary taking notes and telling you what you should have done or shouldn't have done. Maybe there is. I've not met him or her. Mostly it'll be a her, I feel. As George Carlin says, no woman would screw things up this bad. All right. So I honestly believe that you have a right to your disappointments, but don't let it become the only narrative of yourself that you are subscribing to. So just as you have disappointed yourself in a given situation, try to remind yourself of all the times when you have not disappointed yourself, when you have not under-delivered, when you have actually done more than was expected, or when you have, despite difficult odds, done what was required, or maybe even exceeded expectations. This is what I do with myself as well. Some days I'm not in the zone, and I say, भाई, तू बहुत पुराना चावल है, उबल रहा है बड़े टाइम से, अमन, शांत रहे. Today was not your day. तू पुराना आदमी है. Look at the bloody hairstyles you've had. Insta पे जा, ऐसे बाल. You look like a bloody guy from Baga Beach in those days. फिर भी तूने काम करे हैं. चप्पल में ही सही, लेकिन तूने बहुत काम करे हैं. और तू करेगा भी. Just today is an off day. ठंड रख यार, पैर ऊपर कर और जूस पी. It's going to work out. Maybe today you need to sleep early, maybe today you need to eat light, maybe go for a long walk. So I love going for long walks with no direction in mind. बस चलते रहो जब तक पैर नहीं थके. And think about life. Think about your day. Think about, am I where I wanted to be? Does everyone who calls themselves my friend, how many of them really care about me? How many of them would be there for me if I got into a situation? So these, like you have a quarterly review in the corporate world, you need to also do these reviews with yourself. And my suggestion to you, Arkashri, is be kind with yourself. Because the world is not going to be kind with you. So at least you can be kind with yourself. कि बाहर के लोग तो डंडा मारने वाले हैं, फैमिली, सोसाइटी, वो तो मारती रहती है. At least I'll be good to myself. कि ठीक है यार, okay, होता है. So that's very important. A little bit of kindness and patience that you show with yourself will go a long way in giving you the life you want. Some days even I get very self-critical. I'm a very perfectionistic person. हर चीज मेरे को एकदम, like for example, I can see this box in the corner. Okay, which one? Yeah, there. And it's irritating me. Why can't I find a better place for it? It's screwing up my background. But I say, ठीक है यार. Probably no one noticed it till it got my attention to it. So we all have our little pet peeves, we all have our little quirks, we all have our little ways of working. And that's okay. Alright. So I'm here to tell you that you're fine as you are. Perfect, imperfect. This is all transitionary stuff here. And as you grow older, as you see more, travel more, work more, live more, you'll naturally get honed here. Naturally आप polish होते हो. Finishing आपकी बढ़िया होती है. Are you understanding? So, calm down, keep calm and carry on. वो poster आता है with the queens ऐसा डालो room में. Keep calm and carry on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. You actually, hit the exact pain points today, and this session was really great. Do you have like any one key takeaway that we should, like one thing that you want to say like before we wind up the session?
Yeah,
like
man.
one learning that we should, remember for the rest of our MBA journey.
Your MBA does not determine the journey of your success. Your attitude and your ethic and your reputation and your network and your acumen and your rigor will determine the journey of your success. Believe you me. लिख लो कहीं पे, because I will not repeat it क्योंकि मुझे भी याद नहीं होगा. I speak spontaneously. जो दिल में है मैंने बोल दिया. दिल नहीं यहाँ नहीं होता. I know. Okay. So it's very important to understand this. An MBA college is a business. They'll give you that paper. At the end of that journey, that paper is all you have. But then based on that paper, आपको entry तो मिल जाएगी. But can you maintain your residence wherever you are employed? Or will you buckle under the pressures of society and work? That's why I say, mind your attitude. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. We're so grateful to you for having given us so many insights and on how to deal with stress and more. I'm sure all my friends here are de-stressed at least for tonight or a few more nights, hopefully.
Sure, yeah.
Thank you so much for taking out the time to address the students of SDM and NMIMS. We hope to see you again and have more engagements in the future.
Absolutely.
I'd also like to thank my friends here for being so proactive and so interactive. I hope you're all taking away from this session as much as you expected to, if not more.
Thank you, friends. Thank you, enemies also. Your enemies will keep you on your toes, and your friends will make you walk in the desired direction. Thank everyone, okay? And I hope to see you guys
Yes,
on
sir.
Insta and YouTube, okay? I look forward to
Definitely.
connecting with you guys there, okay?
Definitely, sir. You can definitely add a lot more subscribers and followers.
Fantastic. All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll take my leave then. Bye bye.